Okay, so we're just finishing off the clipping now. I'll clip the other side of Poppy. So if you just want to make sure that you've got everything out underneath, you can just lift the leg and just clip underneath here, just get any loose tangles out that are underneath. It's really going to show, so it doesn't matter. With the back leg, if you lift the back leg, clip under here, get rid of the loose hair under there, and the knots. Be careful, obviously, females are on the back, males under here, be really careful. Got any tangles under the tummy, you can lift the skirt up if you're keeping the skirt on, and just run the clippers underneath. You've got quite a small light dog, you could take both the legs, lift them up, and just very quickly run the clippers underneath like that. It's not a comfortable position for the dog, so you need to be quite quick. You wouldn't really want to do that in an older dog. So, that is all clipped. And start with a bit of scissor work now. So I'm just going to release this down as we start. Just trying to get her head into the camera. Okay, if you've got a dog with very thick hair and you have thinning scissors, you can try and thin the hair a little bit around the ears, so you lift the hair up away from the skin and then just thin a little bit like that. But be very careful, feel around, know your dog, feel around, feel where your dog's skin is, always know what you're thinning out before you thin it. In Poppy's case, her owners like her head quite floppy on the top, they like a little tuft on here. I think it's part of her character. So some people will take this really short on the top of the head, some won't, it just depends what you like. And again, with the beard and the moustache, they don't like her too short, so I'm just going to be doing a little trim on that, just to tidy it up and blend it in. I'm not going to go too mad, but you can trim all this down if you want to. But I do recommend you do it with scissors as opposed to clippers. If you do it with clippers, they are going to be absolutely scalped. You might like that look. Personally, I don't. I like to see a bit of hair, a bit of character. If you're scared to do around the face with scissors, then you might want to do the clippers. It is a bit safer if you're really not that bothered about the dog being short. Okay, so with Poppy, we're just going to comb this all out. I'm trying to get this on camera. So where we clipped the neck quite short, but the head is long, we just want to blend some of this in so that it doesn't look like she's got a big lion head. So I'm just going to try and aim this poor Poppy. Very good girl. Try and blend this in. I'll be very careful. If you've got the ears, you've got the bone at the back of the ear. Always have a good feel before you cut. Know what you're cutting, know where your dog is. As you can see, I'm just holding very slightly, I'm pinching the hair under her beard just very gently, not hard, just so that I've got a little bit of control. She knows I've got control. I don't want her to suddenly jump when I'm going to take a chunk out of her fur or her skin. So just very gently, just holding onto that beard there just to get a little bit of support. So I'm just very gently blending in what was very short to very long on the back of the head between the clip and the scissor. Okay, I'll do the other side, turn around, have a good feel where that bone is, feel where it ends. Pull the hair up and just very slowly pull the skin away, put the hair away from the skin and just scissor that down a little bit to blend that in. Okay, so comb, keep combing all the time. The more you comb, the more ends will fly out and you'll need it will be. So just going to comb that forward, just going to scissor a little bit on the top to blend that in. Now, with some of the dogs, you may want to go quite short on here. I'm not going to do that too short on Poppy. Just going to give a little, just to blend it in, just so that it doesn't look like she's got a huge head and a clipped body. When she's got her winter trim and her back is long, her head looks more even to a long body. But at the moment, because her back's quite short for summer, we do need to take a bit of this off the head, otherwise she's just going to look like she's got a big head and a skinny body, which is not quite the look that we want. So just going to comb this forward over the eyes, and then just very carefully take your scissors down in that direction, and then the same in the other direction, like that. So I'm going to trim trim a little bit off this today because the back being quite short, it needs to blend in. Just take a bit off like that. Okay, now if you're going to do round the eyes, very careful. Obviously you've got sharp scissors around a dog's eyes. Scissors I'm using are proper dog scissors. If you're going to use normal hairdressing scissors, then just make sure they're quite new and they're very sharp. If you've got scissors that are pinching and pulling, they're going to pinch the top of the hair, it's going to upset the dog, it's just going to make everything more awkward for everybody. So make sure you've got a fairly decent pair of sharp scissors to work with. Okay, so what I'm doing around the eyes, I would suggest, if you're not really sure what you're doing, pull the hair up like this, either with your fingers or very gently with the comb, pull it away from the eyes, lift the hair up away from the skin so that you can see it. And always again, feel with your fingers, feel where it is, lift it up away from the skin, and then just try and nip the hair in front of the eyes as close as you can without getting obviously in the eyes. I'm keeping it a fairly tight grip here on her chin while I'm doing that, on her little beard, so I'm not hurting her. She'd soon let me know if I was hurting her. But just so that the dog knows you want them to keep still, they know you've got a bit of control, and you don't want them to suddenly move and you're going to poke them in the eye with the scissors, so you're going to have to be very careful with that. Sit down, sweetie. Sit. Go on, have a little rest. There we go. That's a good girl. Oh, she's a good girl. Yes, she is. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. Okay, so just keep combing that through, and just take little bits off at a time. You don't need to rush. Take it down towards the direction that the hair is growing, that side, and the same this side. Pull the hair up away from the skin so you can get a bit more cut off without getting anywhere near the dog's skin. Okay. If you're not too confident in this, then I would say don't go too short around the eyes. Just, you know, do a little bit. As long as the dog can see and they're comfortable and there's no knots in there, it doesn't have to be perfect. I tend to go quite short so that it keeps it really tidy in between trims, but it doesn't have to be, as long as the dog can see out and it's all nice and clean, then it doesn't matter if you leave a little bit there. Okay, so I'm not going to do too much more to the top of Poppy's head, just because there's like a little bit of fluffy hair on the top of her to play with. Just want to make sure that it's blended around the back of the neck where we clipped. Don't want big chunks of hair there. I can't do that very well on that side, it's not blocking the camera, so I'll do that afterwards. Okay, so with her ears, again, some people like the ears really long, some like them really short. With Poppy, just tend to do it somewhere in the middle. They're short enough to be tidy, but not really, really short. I don't like her ears too short. So again, I'll just a little trim. Make sure you comb them right through. Before you start scissoring, I know the dog, so I've just gone straight into it, but before you start scissoring, have a feel where the end of the ear is there, where the skin stops and the hair starts. So always keep your finger and your thumb pinched to where the skin finishes, so that you're never going to be mistaken and cut the skin, especially if the dog suddenly jumps. I'm not all as patient as Poppy. Okay, so I've literally just taken the ends off just to make those a little bit tidy, and she was only done about 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, so she's not very long. You can lift the ear up, if you can see in there, and see there's a bit of hair here. If you can, very carefully again, feel around where all the skin is, and just take a little bit of that hair very carefully from behind, inside the ear there. Not right inside the ear, but just under the ear flap. Just keeps the hair short under there, lets the ears allowed to breathe a little bit more. Less likely to get ear infections and dirty ears. Just take a little bit out, being as brave as you dare. Just trim this other ear a little bit. Again, comb the ear through. good feel with your fingers. Keep your fingers at where the skin finishes and the hair starts. Not at risk of cutting her. It depends how much you want off your dog's ears. Some people like them really long, some people like them quite neat. If you haven't done it before and you're not very confident with your scissors, I would suggest you take a little bit off. You don't want to risk cutting them. Just take enough off so that they're nice and tidy, but you've still got quite a nice sort of puppy look about them. Okay, I'll tidy those up a bit in a minute. I can't do that side very well with the camera angle. When you're doing puppies like this, they often fall asleep when you're doing this. They get so tired. It's quite a long process for hairy dogs. She's actually closing her eyes. You're going to sleep, baby. Are you? You're going to sleep. She's actually closing her eyes now. There we go. Okay, stop. Sit. Right, good girl. Rest. And then with the moustache and beard again, you're going to comb it down. So you do the moustache first. Just hold a little bit underneath. You can see she's a little bit uncomfortable with that, but it is the safest way to do it. Just a little bit under there. Okay. And then we're just going to take the scissors down at an angle like that. Okay, and the same with the other side. And when we come to do the beard, we just lightly hold the top of the head, the nose. So she's a bit not terribly impressed with that, but you just have to do it a little bit just to get this done. Okay, you can try lifting up the ears, like so. Don't pull on them too hard. Comb the hair down. Just turn her slightly, just to trim the shape under there. Again, Poppy's owners don't like her beard too short, so you can take a lot more off this if you want to. You want to make it a lot easier for you to brush. Just take a little bit just to tidy it and blend it into the body a bit. Okay, so it's probably said roughly done. Again, it just depends how much you want to, how short you want to go. So I've just done a rough of her head. I'm trying to get the side up a little bit more when I can get her turned around the camera. Okay. So she has it quite floppy. See here, you can trim this right down if you want to. If you don't like it. Does look quite pretty and quite puppyish. It's nicer than being completely shaved off, I think. Okay, so we're going to do her tail as well, and then we're going to do a leg trim separately. So stand up a bit. Get her back up for a moment. Be very careful, especially if you bought new scissors. When you put your scissors down on the table, if the dog knocks them off onto the floor, the balance will go on them, and that will be that. They won't cut anymore. So Poppy's a pretty good girl. She doesn't move much, so I have been putting mine on the table, but I would recommend it, especially if you've got new scissors. Sorry, especially if you've got new scissors, I would try and keep them on a separate table or a stool or something next to you, so they're not going to get knocked. I'm just trying to get the camera. Tail in camera shot. So with the tail, I'm just going to try to get this without me blocking the camera. Just give it a comb through. Not to do this on both sides, so I'm doing this side, comb it down with a little fan, and then I'm just going to, if you can see this, just going to sweep along the bottom. Again, depends how long you want it. Your dog's tail might be really long. And just a little fan, you can see that, like that, and then turn around and do the same the other side. And to lift the tail right up, very, very carefully, just trim a little bit around the hair on the bottom there. Just keep them clean, careful what you're cutting, obviously. Okay, so we're going to turn around and do the same on the other side, and that's the tail just left with, excuse me at the moment, something on the other side. Just left with a little bit of a fan, which I think is nice, it'll be kept right off.